This is the most special place in college basketball because of a very simple thing. You feel here. You feel. There's a reason why we say our house, because it is. And so this year is not about anything final. This is about our banner, our house, and taking advantage of this moment.
Legacy. You're talking about a legend, and that's a word we use a lot. But it's a word that's never been more appropriate in college basketball than it is today as you watch the fans running into Cameron Indoor Stadium for Duke, North Carolina, which is always special. But this time, it's different. This time, it hits harder because this will be the last regular season time that these two arch rivals face off with Coach K as the coach of Duke basketball. She's Christine Williamson. I'm Jason Fitz. This is Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to get you ready for a ton, and everybody's been talking about it across all the ESPN platforms. But, Christine, this is a special day, above and beyond everything that's happening this season for Duke and how great this season could be for them. Today is a little bit about today, but it's a lot about the past as we look at a legacy with Coach K that deserves all the credit it gets.
I'm actually very surprised. I thought you were going to be a hater going into this because Fitz is not a Duke basketball fan. However, yes, Coach Krzyzewski, literally is college basketball, and I feel like at one point I was a super fan of Duke basketball, and I'm just obsessed with Coach K.
And you say that. We'll get into this later in the show, but I think that's one of the things college basketball is going to have to figure out for the next decade, because you're right. If you're a casual fan that doesn't pay a lot of attention, Coach K resonates, right?
That face.
And so you start thinking about the sport without him.
Right.
That's a massive platform that somebody's going to have to step up and fill, not just for Duke or the ACC, but for college basketball as a whole.
In general.
Now, speaking of the ACC, let's start with a little bit of ACC love, because in case you missed it, Christine,
Okay, so my Miami Hurricanes had an epic finish last night against Louisville to advance to the semifinals of the ACC tournament. Destiny Harden had the fadeaway buzzer beater and finished with 27 points. So this is Miami's 7th win in their last 8 games. They basically secured a tournament berth, but also Miami, and this isn't a good thing, but it is a good thing, they had a 5-time losing streak against AP top 5 opponents. The last team that they beat, guess who it was? Number 2, Louisville.
Look at
so,
that.
So, it's just a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time.
By the way, if you don't follow ESPN Images on social, you should. They caught a picture last night at the end that is everything that's great about sports. You could see agony in some faces and absolute adulation in the others.
Amazing.
And you capture that moment and think, oh my God. So congrats. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. It's great to be a Miami Hurricane.
Or whatever other teams she might be rooting for this day. All right, let's get into the starting 5. We always like to give you 5 matchups that you need to be watching today. And it starts with Arkansas at Tennessee, noon Eastern on ESPN Senior Day at Thompson Bowling Arena. Number 13, Tennessee hosted number 14, Arkansas. The Vols grabbed a win in their final true road game of the season at Georgia. Razorbacks coming off a massive 1-point win over LSU. The top of the SEC standings jam-packed. This is key for the SEC tourney. You do not want to miss this one.
All right. The Auburn Tigers have had a chance to win the SEC outright by finishing the job at home, where they are currently undefeated this season. So South Carolina at number 5, Auburn. Both teams coming off wins, but the Gamecocks will need to clinch this upset in order to solidify their very shaky resume.
I am done trying to figure out the Big Ten. That's why you got to watch Indiana at number 8, Purdue. I mean, Purdue was number 4 until they lost to Michigan State, who earlier this year lost to Rutgers. I can't figure any of it out, but I do know that you got to watch it. Everything matters for Indiana right now at the absolute height of trying to get into the tournament. That's 2 Eastern on ESPN.
Something not hard to figure out, Big 12 basketball. Number 21, Texas at number 6, Kansas. They're attempting to extend a 5-game home winning run later today when they host Texas in Allen Fieldhouse. The Jayhawks are coming off a win over TCU with Ochai Agbaji and Christian Braun being the standout performers. The Longhorns were also winners at home over Baylor, led by Marcus Carr and Christian Bishop.
And, of course, the site of Game Day, the 257th installment of Duke, North Carolina men's basketball with their rivalry. Also, Coach K's final home game. The Blue Devils hold a 1-game lead over Notre Dame in the ACC standings. North Carolina sitting in 3rd, a game and a half behind Duke. following the Tar Heels' overtime win over Syracuse on Monday. USC leads the all-time series in this UNC, I should say. But Duke won the first meeting between these two teams this season. So everything on the line.
Duke basketball is going to win.
Well, you feel like
they have to. It's Cameron Indoor. They're going to win.
And listen, we're just going to throw things off the rails for a second. But you've played at Cameron,
oh, my gosh,
right?
yes, I have. First of all, Cameron Indoor is one of my favorite places. Going there for a basketball game is a lot different, obviously, than playing in it. I played volleyball at University of Miami, and playing at Cameron Indoor was great. However, going to basketball games, honestly, especially if you sit in the top, portion of the arena, you feel like you're going to fall over because the arena is so old.
I've been in there once, and you're right. And the emotion that comes from it is going to be wild. Speaking of emotion, there's going to be a lot of it with Coach K. Our own Rece Davis had the chance to sit down with Coach. Just as a little bit of what they talked about.
What's it been like the last few days? Because you've known the Carolina game was coming.
The Carolina game's always a showcase game, and thank goodness that we've already won the league. The magnitude of it being my last game is somewhat overwhelming at times, you know, with the amount of articles, the amount of text, the amount of letters, the amount of all beautiful things.
How do you say goodbye to something like this?
People say, well, you're going to have an input. I'm not going to have any input. You know, like in the military, when your tour of duty is done, and hopefully they say, job well done. I think they will say that, and then I pass the baton to John. I've been the luckiest guy in the world. This has been mine for 42 years, but it's Duke's forever.
When he talks there, Christine, like, I will never pretend to know what it's like to be as great at anything as Coach K is at coaching basketball. But it makes me think of my last show ever in music. I knew it was going to be my last concert. I knew going into it that it was the Alaska State Fair. I'll never forget. And everything that you think you're going to do or the ways you think you're going to handle the moment actually turns out to be a total lie. Like in that moment, like sound check was different. I remember so much, like I asked us to do an extra song because I just wanted one more shot at it, right? And then during the show, little moments you don't pay attention to suddenly hit harder. And it was this wave of emotion throughout. Like, I think one of the craziest things to watch today is just going to be seeing Coach K internalize the roller coaster of a TV timeout and the crowd going nuts. Like, there's a real and raw emotion to all of that when you know you're walking away that is going to be interesting to watch today.
I love that he was like, hopefully they say job well done. Sir, you are Coach K. Like, you are literally college basketball. Yes, they're of course going to say that. It's absolutely ridiculous for him to say that, but I feel like it just points to his humility. And I think one thing too, when I was an undergrad, I was obsessed with Duke basketball. My best friend played volleyball at Duke, so I used to go there all the time, right? And the one thing that I think that is very rare for coaches that are as good as Coach K is how much his players love playing for him. There's so many good stories, and like I remember, I don't know if you guys remember Andre Dawkins, he was a really good player for them, but he also like struggled a lot with a lot of mental health issues, and that was before there was a lot of mental health issues going on and people were talking about it a lot, and Coach K gave him the time that he needed because he was dealing with stuff. So I feel like Coach K is just like a good human as well as a good basketball coach.
I'll quickly say, if you don't listen to Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, you should on ESPN Radio in the mornings. J. Will, who played for him, had one of the most emotional stories I've ever heard an athlete tell about right after his accident and what Coach K said to him and how he helped him through it. Go listen to that on the podcast. In the meantime, let's make people angry. Nothing aggravates people more than all-time teams. And we were given the impossible task of trying to take these two amazing programs and give an all-time team. Christine, look, I got a lot of old guys on my team. Like, Michael Jordan was easy. James Worthy was easy for me because as a kid I was a huge Lakers fan. Phil Ford is always in on this list. Tyler Hansbrough I felt okay with, but like,
guy?
Yeah, I feel like I went old people on here, and I still might have pissed off Vince Carter fans. I'm not pleased with myself.
Okay, so I actually love my list, and I don't care. Anybody that has anything to say to me, I do not care.
1 second.
JJ Redick makes complete sense. He's a top 10 Duke basketball player. So is Shane Battier and Christian Laettner. Carlos Boozer, I know him, so I feel like I had to put him on the list. He's at least top 50 in Duke basketball history. Kyrie Irving, I do not care that he only played 11 games. When he stepped on that Duke campus, he was the guy, hands down. I think he averaged like 17 points. He played 11 games, 8 games during the regular season. I think he played the postseason, but here's what I have to say about Kyrie Irving. He was the #1 overall draft pick for a reason. He had a toe injury, okay? He couldn't play. all right? But he still was that guy. It didn't matter. If you asked his current teammate for the Nets, that was also his teammate at Duke, he said he was an absolute monster. Seth Curry said Kyrie Irving was an absolute monster when he stepped on the court. I don't care. Nobody say anything to me. Kyrie Irving is on my team, okay?
I'm just going to say, though, like, you mentioned Cameron. Like, when I walked through Cameron in the halls outside the court, they've got the little, like, glass cases up. We showed you Grant Hill at the beginning of the episode, who, by the way, is not on your list. And also Jay Will, like I just mentioned. Jay Will's got one of those glass boxes.
I will say, if I was to replace Kyrie Irving with anybody, it would be Jason Williams. However, I just wanted Kyrie on my list, okay?
Yeah, I say that.
You had a bunch of old guys.
I did.
I just felt like I should get some youth on that team, okay?
All right, she's right about that. I totally went old man. All right, let's talk a little bit of bubble watch. Obviously, Lenardi always giving us the latest and greatest of what we need to know. His last 4 in includes Rutgers, Xavier, Memphis, Loyola, Chicago. First 4 out, Indiana, BYU, SMU, and Virginia Tech. Now, this is not an easy conversation to have, but we're going to take a look at some of these bubble teams and figure out who we think is going to make it in. And they decided to give us some color-coordinated bubbles. And Christine gets, they don't hand me sharp things. There's no way I'm going to get to pop anything.
Really
so Christine's going to get to pop them. So we're going to list some teams, and then I'll give my thoughts, and then you will either pop or not pop the bubble, right?
Okay, yes. So let's start with Michigan.
Wait, do you cringe when a bubble's about to pop? Because I'm always like,
Why do you keep calling these bubbles?
Well, because
these
that's what
balloons,
it is. For the point of this exercise, they are bubbles.
You just said, do you cringe when a bubble's about to pop? Anyways, let's start with Michigan, who's been on and off for the past few weeks. Are you bursting their bubble?
Okay. Yes, I burst in they're not making the tournament. I went back and forth on this one. I wasn't sure, but when you start thinking about it, like I said earlier, a ton of chaos in the Big Ten this season. I don't love that. They need to win against Ohio State this weekend, which is difficult to do, and get a win in the tournament to get 4 games above 500. That's sort of the at-large, like, invisible line in the sand. They'd have to do, that's a lot of work to make up. They've been too inconsistent. Pop it.
Okay, I'm glad we got that first one out of the way. Okay, so keeping it in the Big Ten, let's go to Rutgers, who is definitely proving themselves in February, but recently they clinched a win over Indiana earlier this week. However, they've had a string of conference losses. Are you bursting their bubble? I'm so confused with Rutgers, but I will say this. You mentioned their record. They've got an easier matchup against Penn State coming in. They're already 4 games above that 500. They're already above that threshold we mentioned, and they have 6 quad 1 wins. So they've got the resume. I am not going to burst the bubble. I think Rutgers is going to make it into the tournament. I'm also scared of another balloon popping. So I'm out. So do we get to keep that one? I was going to just throw it. It can float around. I get to hang on to a balloon. Let's go to Sister Jean in Loyola, Chicago, who I'm not a fan of because they beat my Miami Hurricanes in the tournament in 2018. It was in Dallas. I was at that game. I was very upset. How do you feel about them? Do you burst their bubble? Nobody picks against Sister Jean. Or do they? Loyola plays Northern Iowa today. That's the NBC semifinals, which is interesting. They split the regular season, but Northern Iowa just beat them at the end of the regular season in overtime. These are 2 teams that can really shoot, absolute offensive efficiency everywhere. The problem I have is that Loyola has no wiggle room left. They can't make a mistake. I think they not only have to win against Northern Iowa, they have to win the whole tournament. I'm popping the bubble. I don't think they make it. I'm going Sister Jean. Look at you just... All right, let's move on. I think Christine might be like a modern Dexter or something. She's killed that balloon and didn't even think about it. Let's go to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, okay, first of all, ACC basketball isn't great right now, but they have won their last 3. They're 6 in the ACC, which, like I said, is not that great. Are you bursting Virginia Tech's bubble? Another tough one. Realistically, they have everything you could want, right? They have a net ranking of 37th. That's second best in the ACC. Their offensive efficiency numbers are incredible. The problem is they don't have a marquee matchup left on the schedule before the ACC tournament. They're 1-5 in quad 1 games, right? That's not good enough against good teams. The only way they get into the tournament is if they go in and they crush in the ACC tournament, which would require them to do what they haven't done this year, beat good teams. I'm popping the bubble. I don't think they make it. I am uncomfortable with how easy she makes that look. We go to Memphis, who's also coming off of a 3-game streak. Ooh. Look at that. And their final game at home is tomorrow against Houston. Are you going to burst Memphis's bubble? Okay, so here's the thing with Memphis. You're talking about the top recruiting class in the country coming into the year, and Penny Hardaway is constantly under so much pressure to make something happen with that, but they are playing really well right now, and they just beat Houston, which was a marquee win.
Now they get another shot at Houston. I think they can beat them again. I am not popping that bubble. I think Memphis is going to make the NCAA tournament. And not only are they going to make the tournament, they could make they are so supremely talented, and they didn't play like it for so long this season. But now they are playing like it. When you have that much talent, everybody's coming together. It just took them a second to gel. Memphis might be able to make a little noise.
All right, so that's 3 bubbles burst, 2 not. I like it.
And she's not putting that pin too far away. I'm nervous. All right, you shouldn't be nervous about game day. They are hanging out. Obviously, Cameron, they are going to be wild in there. It was more expensive than the Super Bowl to get a ticket. The most expensive ticket was $50,000 online. That's what we're talking about. They are going to be wild there. It's going to be a crazy game day atmosphere.
I am now joined by Texas A&M player development coach Sydney Carter, and I'm so excited that you're here today because I'm someone that just, I appreciate when people put time and effort into what they're wearing and look fly when they do it. So I'm gonna gas you up a little bit. We're gonna start with your fits because the fits that you rock on the sideline, sis, they're fire. So as someone that, like I said, I like to dress, I want to look at them and then I need to know details because I'm trying to shop where you shop.
Well, I can't necessarily give full detail on where I shop right now because there may be some stuff in the making. But I can say that a lot of it is from just looking on Instagram and just seeing some boutiques. And if I see just one thing, that will pop up on my popular page or something, I will literally just click on that and just go down the line of shopping on stuff. And I'll see something and I'll say, hey, that's kind of cute. So let me see if I can make it even cuter.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Do you have a favorite game day fit that you've rocked so far?
Yeah, it's a toss-up between the green houndstooth full print that I wore, I think it was game 16, maybe, for South Carolina. And then I just wore a multicolored dress for South Carolina's game here. I think that was game 27 that I just posted online. So those are a toss-up between my 2 favorites.
We love it. We love it so much. Okay, so let's talk about the nonsense that happened in response to your pink leather pants, because first of all, I haven't figured out, I have a couple of pair of latex pants and I haven't figured out how to rock them, and you figured it out, but you got a lot of backlash. So what was that response like from people?
Well, at first, I was just doing something that I usually did and posting my outfit. So initially I was obviously shocked. But of course, you're always going to have people that say such positive things. And I got so much support from so many different people. And then, of course, you have some people that are going to put their negative opinions out there. I never really cared about the negative comments because at the end of the day, I wore those pink leather pants for a cause, for a breast cancer game. I just happened to fill my pants out at the end of the day. And I can't hide that. I just put my pants on and my turtleneck on like a normal day, and I guess people decided to comment on it.
Girl, listen, what you just said is I look really good and people have a problem with it. Okay.
I mean, essentially that's what it kind of comes down to.
Exactly. I've been there before. I want to talk about the fact that you talked about the negative comments, but a lot of people came to your defense, and one of those people was Nicki Minaj.
Nicki herself.
Nicki herself, like you had the quote from her song, the lyric, and then she was like, let them know, mama. So like a lot of people came to your defense. What was that response like, getting that positive response?
I mean, it was fantastic. I didn't obviously plan on Nicki Minaj commenting. I just used her quote because I just liked, I liked the song. The song had just come out not too long after I posted that photo. But it was really heartwarming to see, just because when it first came out, I was hearing about, so many people, it's blowing up because so many people have so many negative things to say. So when you actually see somebody that kind of stands for the same things that I stand for, in the sense of she's confident, she's beautiful, she doesn't care what people think, to see the support from somebody like that, and then to get the support that I got from the women's basketball community, from the NBA, just from people all over that don't even know me, but could see the confidence that I exuded. That was important for me, and it was very heartwarming for me because those are people that didn't have to say anything at all, but they came to my defense.
I love that. And I also loved your response. You said representation matters and you will continue to apply pressure. So why is that important to you?
I mean, I just think that you always hear, if you can see her, you can be her. And I think that post from the little girl that came to our game, I mean, that explains it in a nutshell. People see me and they are inspired by my confidence. They are inspired by the fact that people came to try to cyberbully me, to try to attack me, and it still didn't change anything that I did, because at the end of the day, I have to be happy with me. I have to continue to live with myself, because there's only one Sydney Carter at the end of the day. And if I'm happy with that, then everybody else is gonna either have to deal with it or get lost.
I love that so much. Keep your foot on their necks. I'm here for it. Thanks so much, Sydney, for joining us.
I am gonna do that 100. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. You are watching Countdown to College Game Day, covered by State Farm, getting you ready for College Game Day at the top of the hour from Duke University, where tonight, Coach K coaches his final game at Cameron Indoor Stadium when number 4 Duke hosts North Carolina. Coach K saying goodbye, of course, to Duke, but Duke also saying goodbye to Coach K.
Hi, Coach. It's me, Cameron Indoor Stadium. I've seen so much over my 82 years, tucked over here in the west corner of campus. I was here long before you arrived. I'll be here long after you're gone, but I can barely recall what it was like within my walls before you started stalking these sidelines. Just as I can barely imagine what it'll be like after you leave. The numbers, no matter how overwhelming they might be, aren't the real story here. Our tale together isn't written in record books. It's found in me, around me, in my air, in every nook and cranny of every block of my stone and plank of my wood. Before you, I had no crazies. I had no neighbors in Krzyzewskiville. We used to have a half a dozen banners hanging from my rafters. Now, I look like a laundromat. Before you, no audiologists ever stopped by to study how loud I can be or compared me to a bunch of jackhammers. Now, it happens all the time. Speaking of time, Coach, ours is up. Almost. First, that other team is coming in here. You know the one. We've made a lot of great memories together.
Duke is going to win the game! Are you serious?
What do you say we do once more, Kay? For all time's sake?
You know the legend that is Mike Krzyzewski, but you might not remember him and Duke as the underdogs before all that glory. How his interest in coaching the Lakers could have changed countless careers and basketball history itself. Or how restoring Team USA to international dominance helped to reshape his concept of a championship roster. Those 5 title banners don't tell the whole story. From those who played for him, coached with him, and bore witness to his greatness, these are the stories of his most memorable teams from 4 decades in Durham.
All right, it is time for Surprisingly Great Assists, brought to you by State Farm. And we start with a little Big Ten action. This was one of the bigger upsets that we saw last week. A.J. Hoggard loves the volley oop up to Gabe Brown, slams it home, says, "You, sir, go home."
That's pretty solid. I mean,
pretty solid. Okay, Christine is very unimpressed.
I'm very critical. Yeah, like I have to. Yeah.
All right, well let's look at this one. Raheem Moss on the fast break drops a dime behind his back to Cedric Milner. Follows for the rim rocker.
I freaking love that one. Behind the back, look, it's almost like a no look, but like not really, but you don't know where he's going with it, and that's why it's surprisingly great.
All right, let's go to this one. Jamal Sheed on the fast break throws it off the glass. He says, "Oh, I'm still in the playground. This is how we do it."
Love that one too, because you don't know exactly what he's gonna do.
No, see, I love that. All right, now we move on to the Wendy's Wooden Watch. We start with Paulo Banchero. We all know this. It's been as good as advertised. Diaper dandy, even though he looks like he's 40.
He does.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He's averaging 16.9, nearly 8 boards a game this season, led Duke to the top of the ACC standings one of the top prospects for this year's NBA draft, if he chooses to declare. You never know where that's going to go, but we're going to hear a lot about him today. Yeah, we all laugh at that. I'm just saying. Let's go to the women's side. Another fantastic forward, Baylor senior forward Melissa Smith, averaging nearly 22 and 12 boards per game this season. So, she spurred Baylor to a current 9-game winning streak and a share of the Big 12 regular season title. Something Smith and the Bears can win outright with the win tomorrow versus Texas Tech in ESPN's latest WNBA mock draft, projected to go number 1 to the Washington Mystics. Again, if she were chooses to.
She definitely is.
All right, so now we're going to have a little bit of fun. Our buddy Scooby Magezza last week brought a segment suggestion to us that we were going to do. We didn't get to do it. We're going to try it this week. It's called Rejected. We'll show you a great block, and then we go, he got rejected! What do you think?
I'm not doing that, but I'll do the other stuff.
Hey, yeah. All right, let's try the
legs
first
actually
highlight.
touch the ground, too. I wouldn't be able to kick my legs like that.
All right,
so
St. John's versus DePaul. Pins it on the fast break. Angenda says, not today. Look at this. He got rejected.
It's like so much worse when you don't see it coming. The poor guy behind the back. He thought he had that one in there. No, that's embarrassing.
All right, we go to Texas A&M Ole Miss. Hayden Hefner drives to the dunk. Fagan says, get out of here. Not up in here.
I feel like okay, I know I just said the unseen one is the worst, but like if you're physically affected by it, like that looked like it hurt.
You don't want to do
Probably
the okay,
No,
fine.
you
Kansas
got it.
TCU Lampin, police in the paint, destroys the dunk attempt by Braun. Sorry, Mr. Braun, but you got rejected.
Have you ever been blocked before?
Huh?
Have you ever been blocked before?
Oh my God, so many times.
Okay.
So many times. I'm 5'9", all right? This doesn't surprise anybody.
Happens all the time.
Oh my God. St. Bonnie VCU. Bonnie 3-on-2. Vince Williams Jr. shut it down. Look at this. Look at this. This one's not.
It's not painful. It's embarrassing. It's not painful, like physically painful, but it's embarrassing, as is this.
He got. Okay, fine. Christine rejected me. Look at that. That's Grant Hill right there.
I know. I love his hair.
In Krzyzewskiville, also inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Of note, he didn't make Christine's All-Duke team. I'm just saying, just a reminder.
Listen.
Rece talked to Coach K. Check it out.
Okay.
College GameDay coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern time from Cameron Indoor Stadium. There is an electricity in here. This is not a run-of-the-mill game. It never is when Duke and North Carolina play. With the attached significance to the end of the era, they certainly would love to put a 6th ring on it. Coach K court for the final time. Mike Krzyzewski tonight. I've seen signs up here that say things like, I spent my kid's inheritance to be here. People have come from all over, some with tickets, some without. Super Bowl level tickets. LaFonso Ellis, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Billis here. I mean, this is a historic landmark moment we're going to see today and tonight.
Yeah, there's always so much that goes around the Duke Carolina game, but this multiplies it by 10, maybe more. And I don't know that anybody can assess what the emotions are going to be when we get toward game time. And when you have Coach K walk out from the locker room for the last time, how people are going to feel, how he's going to feel, how the team's going to feel. You know, so much goes into these games, but there's no way. It's like jumping out of an airplane. You can tell somebody about it until you do it. And I don't know that we know what it's going to feel like for the players and the coaches.
You used the word feel. You know, Coach K always talks about Duke basketball is about a feeling. Well, to me, we're sharing his senior night and that feeling with him. And to witness that, it is part of history. And, you know, to be having an opportunity to document this, man, that's a special feeling for us.
You talk about feelings, Seth. I met a couple yesterday from Colorado, came all the way from Colorado, don't have a ticket to be here. They just want to take this all in. And I was walking down that corridor, and it hit me all of a sudden. This is going to be Coach K's last time walking down there. What a significant moment in our basketball history.
It is indeed, as is custom for Mike Krzyzewski. He spoke to the Cameron Crazies last night. Part of the theme of the message is that this is not necessarily just their house. This is their home, and they'll try to send Coach K out in his final home game at Cameron with a win over Carolina. College GameDay, top of the hour, Coach K conversation, and a Duke Legends roundtable with Jay.
All right, in case you haven't gotten it figured out yet, we've got you covered today with all the college hoops action you could possibly want. All you have to do is authenticate in the app. You can watch all day here. We've got College GameDay at noon Eastern, then an SEC battle between 14 Kansas and number 13 Tennessee. At 6 Eastern, watch Coach K's final game at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Remember, just sign into your cable provider to watch on ESPN or on the ESPN app. There's no way North Carolina wins this game, right?
Heck no.
I can't imagine the adrenaline, though, for those. Like, we've talked so much about the Duke side. For the North Carolina side, there's got to be, like, this has got to be a
adrenaline?
weird.
It's like weird. It's just very weird. Going into Cameron Indoor, you're probably just like, what am I even doing here? It's not about me. Even if they first of all, they can't win. They can't for multiple reasons, but it's
Can
just,
you even say out loud, like, I hope we ruin this for Coach K? Like,
yeah,
I'm not
exactly,
saying
exactly. And it's North Carolina of 2022, so it's not even.
Oh, she's Christine Williamson. I'm Jason Fitz. As always, we appreciate you hanging out with us. This has been Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. Thanks for joining us today and every Saturday throughout the course of the college basketball season. We greatly appreciate you.
Bye.
College GameDay is back on the road. How great is this? The greatest rivalry in college basketball.
Duke, Carolina always delivers, always.